Okay, hello everyone. My name is Laura Camila Fulaforero, and today, together with my classmates, we will present our research project, which is called Strengthening Oral Participation and Speaking Confidence in Virtual EFL Classrooms through Vocabulary, Scaffolding, Gamification, and Role-Play Strategies. So first, I would like to introduce my teammates. We have Lina Alejandra Ortiz Agudelo, María Angélica Sánchez Martínez, Cristian Camilo Franco Porras, and John Mario Gomez Vélez. In this presentation, we will share the main aspects of this research, including the context, methodology, data analysis process, and main findings. So let's begin. The first thing I'm gonna mention is the research context. So in this case, the research was conducted at Universidad Nacional Abierta a Distancia, and the participants were A2, B1 EFL students enrolled in the bachelor degree in foreign language teaching, from semesters from 2 to probably 4. And the sessions were conducted fully virtual. There were English classes using synchronous online sessions where students from different Colombian regions with diverse educational backgrounds connected together for 2 sessions per week. The research focuses on increasing oral participation and speaking confidence, and it addresses the communication challenges commonly found in virtual EFL learning environments. So one of the main challenges in here was that these lessons were carried on through virtual classrooms where many students didn't participate as much as we'd like to, but we're gonna learn about that a little bit later. So let's move on with the statement of the problem.
Hello everyone. Today I will to Okay, in this section I will explain the statement of the problem of our research. The main issue identified is a A2B1 EFL students in virtual English classes experience difficulties in oral productions. Many students feel anxious when speaking English, are afraid of making mistakes, and have limited opportunities to interact with their classmates. As a result, they often remain silent instead of active participation in classroom activities. Another important aspect is this research gap. Also, many online English classes focus on grammar and vocabulary instructions. They do not always provide meaningful opportunities for spontaneous oral communications. Consequently, students may improve their language knowledge but still lack confidence when speaking English. To address this problem, our study proposed the integration of vocabulary scaffolding, gamification, and role-play activities. These structural strategies active participation during English lessons. This problem is relevant in different levels. At the international level, previous studies indicate that virtual learning environments can increase access to education, but may also reduce interaction with student awareness. For this reason, this research seeks to analyze how vocabulary scaffolding, gamification, and role-play strategies can contribute to strengthened oral participation and speaking confidence in virtual EFL classes. Next, please. Now, about the research questions, how can vocabulary scaffolding, gamification, and role-play strategies play strategic strength oral participation and speaking confidence among A2 B1 English and Foreign Languages students during virtual English classes. This question focuses on three structural strategies. The first one is vocabulary scaffolding, which provides students with language support they need before participating in speaking activities. The second strategy is gamification, which increases motivation and engagement by incorporating game-based elements into the learning process. The third strategy is role play, which gives students opportunities to practice English in meaningful and real-full communication stations. Through these strategies, our study expects to achieve two main outcomes. First, to increase students' oral participation during virtual classes. Second, to improve their speaking confidence by incorporating more support and interactive learning environment. Finally, this research focuses on A1, A2, B1 English as foreign language learners who participate in synchronous virtual class where the interaction were communicative essential for English language development. The research questions serve as foundations of our study and guides the implementation, data collection, and analysis of the proposed pedagogy strategy. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cristian Camilo Franco Porras. I'm going to talk about the theoretical framework. So from socio-constructivist, Vygotsky, 1978, it's awesome that the language is not learning in isolation, but is socially constructed. So meaningful interaction and collaborative learning allows students by working with their peers to identify their strengths, so recognize their communicative difficulties and overcome their fear of speaking. The gamification, Terna 2016, is the driver that activities, that interaction by incorporating real life situations, in-game topics, and interactive challenge. It creates a contextualized and motivating environment that increase the engagement. So the responsibility for one's own learning and willingness to communicate. So together, the logic is the gamification motivates students to participate and the collaborative works towards the participation into real learning, which gradually leads students to build confidence and increase their active oral participation in the virtual English class. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. As we can see, the methodological area is divided into 4 categories, such as instructional model, methodological contribution, methods approach, and methodological relevance. The first one, instructional model, from a perspective in which this study proposed a structured instructional model designed for virtual EFL classrooms. It integrates 3 complementary strategies: vocabulary, scaffolding, gamification, and role play. This framework guides the implementation process, learning activities, and data collection to directly foster oral participation, reduce speaking anxiety, and help students overcome affective barriers in online environments. The second one, methodological contribution, The methodological contribution of this research is threefold. First, it designs and validates a practical set of replicable instructional activities tailored to address loud speaking confidence and limited participation. The second, it develops and adapts data collection instruments for digital settings, such as online observation protocols, participation tracking tools, and perception questionnaires. Third, it provides adaptable tools that other educators and researchers can use in similar virtual educational content. Third one, MIPS method approach. To gain a comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon, the study employs a MIPS methods approach. By combining quantitative and qualitative data, we are able to evaluate not only the measurable changes in oral participation, but also the students' perceptions and confidence levels regarding the implemented strategies. 4. Methodological relevance. Finally, the methodological relevance lies in its potential to guide future pedagogical interventions. The study establishes clear metrics and criteria for assessing communicative competence and speaking confidence in online education. Ultimately, it offers a versatile reference model that can be adapted across different proficiency levels, age groups, and institutional contents. Next slide, please. Ethical considerations. In this case, it's divided in 4 stages. The first one, anonymity. Moving on to anonymity, we align our process strictly with institutional privacy policies. None of the participants' real names appear in any document or final research report as a qualitative study with synthesize and analyze data critically, supporting our findings through comparative literature rather than individual identifier. The second, confidentiality. Regarding confidentiality, the data gathered before, during, and after the project is used strictly for academic and professional development purposes. To guarantee security, access to this information is restricted exclusively to our research team and our university tutor. Third, informed consent. As for informed consent, participants were registered using an institutional form that ensured their voluntary participation and full awareness of the study scope. This step guaranteed that everyone involved understood their role and felt secure within our educational framework. Or risk. When addressing potential risk, we consider factors like speaking anxiety, low confidence, and fear of making mistakes in virtual EFL environments. No physical and psychological harm was involved. To mitigate emotional risk, we designed safe pedagogical strategies, including scaffolding, gamification, and role playing to boost active participation. Right? Benefits. Finally, regarding this step, our goal was to empower EFL learners by improving their oral communication skills and emotional regulation in digital environments by integrating qualitative EdTech frameworks. We foster an inclusive learning culture where mistakes are seen as a natural part of growth. Thank you. Next, May.
Okay, so in terms of the data analysis process, I divided this one in these 4 like big groups. We started with like the data collection, which was like collected through the classroom observations, field journals, participation records, and student perception questionnaires. So the thing in here is that each class, each session was planned through a type of document, like an annex, specifically to prepare all the materials done in there. And after that, each class had like a brief analysis through like field journals. So you could see like the difference on each session based on the field journals of every student participating, like each tutor, we could call it that. In the second stage, we have the independent analysis. We divide these ones in two parts, which is the quantitative and qualitative. So the first one, we got the participation frequency, like because at the beginning, like there were like 5 students assigned per teacher, but in all the classes, just like 1 or 2 students like were actually there. The second one, the speaking confidence and the student engagement. Those were like the things we took into account. And for the qualitative aspect, we have classroom interactions, teacher reflections through the field journals, and students' experiences. For the triangulation, we did like a comparison of qualitative and quantitative like findings and the identification of like patterns and relationships. For this part, we use the atlas that I'm going to show you later. And for the last part, we have the interpretation that was like through an evaluation of the impact of vocabulary scaffolding, gamification, and role play. And these led to conclusions and pedagogical like recommendations. So let me show you some of the charts and the graphics we got from Atlas. So this was the first one based on all the documents. This is a word cloud where like these were like the words that pop up the most in the documents that we analyzed, like both lesson plans, field journals, and like a type of like survey that we did at the end of the sessions, like the whole thing. We also have in here this one that is like a Sankey diagram. We have these 4 big groups: the pedagogical strategies and tools, the context and planning, the student challenges, and the engagement and motivation. So were the 4 big ones. And all of these are the documents that we use in there, which were like lesson plan of each student, the field journal of each student, and also we have the survey. It's not gonna show in here, but it's like down here. And the last one, we have this one, which is like a tree map showing like the key terms. These were like the codes we created in Atlas. We focus on like the context, the encouragement, low participation, as we can see, was one of the biggest. Digital tools, this was like an interesting one, as well as the visual aids. And we also have like things like meaningful participation, gamification, speaking practice, low attendance, which is different from low participation, and so on. So basically, this is how we collected the data in order to analyze it. Thank you. Let's move on to this part.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Now I will talk about our most important finding. On the slide, we can see 3 main categories: vocabulary, scaffolding, gamifications, and role play. We work with A2 B1 students in virtual English classes at UNAD. Our question was, how can these 3 strategies help students speak more and feel more confident? Let's start with the first one, vocabulary scaffolding. What does this mean? It means we have students help before they had to speak. For example, we show them the words they will need. We have then sentence structured like I think that. We use pictures and examples. Why did this work? Because students already know the works, but they were too nervous to remember the quickly. The scaffolding helping that feel ready. Now, the second category, gamifications. This means using games in class. We use tools like Kahoot, Genially, or Waygrounds. We create challenge points and competitions. The students who were always quit started to participate more. They raised their hand. They went to play. They had fun. But we also learning something important. Games alone are not enough. If the game is just for students get bored of after a while. The games needs to have a clear learning goals. So gamifications create motivation, but the teacher needs to guide the learn. That is how students really learning. And finally, the third category, role play. The role play means students act like some else. For example, they pretend to be tourists asking for directions or customer in a restaurant. Why is this useful? Because when the students act like someone else, they feel less nervous, or they are not afraid of making a mistake. It likes or shield that protects them. We saw that the students spoke more freely. They heard really conversation in English. They forgot about their fear. That the conclusions. So we learn these three strategies work better together. Here is now. Scaffolding guys students the more words the need. Gamifications makes the one to use thus works. Role plays guys then a self space to practice. Together, they help students feel less nervous and more confident. They turn our quiet virtual classroom into an active, fun learning space. Thank you.
Hello again. About the discussion and evaluation of objectives or research objectives or finding subjects that the combination of vocabulary, scaffolding, gamification, and role play contributed positively to improving student oral participation and speaking confidence in virtual English classes. Our main interpretation is that the speaking anxiety and limited languages preparation are major barriers to oral participations. In online learning environments, students often hesitate to speak because they fear making mistakes or feel due to have enough vocabulary to express their ideas. The results indicate that vocabulary scaffold help students providing the linguistic support they need before speaking activities. This preparation reduces hesitations and allows students to communicate more fluently. In addition, gamification creates more engaging and motivation virtual classroom. Students become more willing to participate because learning activities were interactive and enjoyable. Likewise, role-play activities encourage students to English in meaningful and authentic situations. These activities help to reduce anxiety and increase their confidence when interacting with classmates. From a theoretical perspective, these findings support because some proximal development science scaffolding guide students toward growth independence, and they also support Kern's effective filter hypothesis because reducing anxiety facilitates oral communications. However, one important finding was that the gamification alone is not enough. Its effectiveness depends on well-designed stats and continuous teacher guidance. In other words, games must have a clear pedagogical purpose to promote meaningful language learning. Next, please, now about strategic projection and SWOT analysis. Finally, I will present the strategic projection and SWOT analysis of our study based on our findings. We identify several strengths, opportunities, awareness, and threats related to implementation of vocabulary scaffolding, gamification, and role play in virtual EF classes. Among the strengths, we found that collaborative learning activities encourages participation and that effective integration of digital tools help reduce student speaking anxiety and increase their willingness and communicative in English. Regarding the opportunities, these strategies can be integrated into informal English curriculum to promote more interactive learning experience. In addition, the strategic use of student first languages when appropriate might serve as a bridge to facilitate English language learning among and improve confidence. However, our study also identified some weaknesses. For example, we did not include a standardized pre and post tests to measure languages profile proficiency gains, and some students still depend uh, on teacher guidance or participate activities. We also recognize potential threats. High levels of speaking anxiety may continue to affect participation, and competitive gain elements could generate if they are not careful designed and balance the teacher. Finally, our research opens new opportunities for future studies. Future researchers could explore the relationships between technology use and pedagogical effectiveness in virtual EFL education. They could also investigate how students' physical, psychological, and emotional factors influence and the developments of oral communication skills in online learning environments. In conclusion, these studies demonstrate that combining vocabulary sculpting, gamification, and role play provides a promising pedagogical approach on fostering oral participation and speaking confidence in virtual English language classroom. Thank you.
Okay. This research shows that vocabulary scaffolding, gamifications, and role play help students speak more and feel more confident in virtual English class. Scaffolding gives students the words they need before speaking. Gamification makes learning fun and motivations. Role play creates a safe space to practice without fear. However, more research is needed with more students a longer time. Overall, this research of offers as useful model for teachers to help students speaking English with confidence only online. Sorry.
Okay, implications, limitation, and the future research. So it's important to be academically honest about our results, because we cannot claim that our students improve their general English proficiency from A1, A2, or B1, because we didn't administer and standardize pre-text and post-text to measure it. So what we can objective life demonstrate with our data is something different, because there was a real progress in two specific areas within our virtual classroom context. The first, an increase in their willingness to communicative. So the students were more willing to turn on their microphone and participate. And the second, an improvement in the quality of their oral interactions during the activities. So our research also has two limitations that we need to acknowledge. The first, our sample was small, just one group of young learners, so our findings cannot be fully generalized. The second, we have to consider the novelty effect. The students may have been extra enthusiastic simply because the gamified activities were the new and different from the regular classes. Finally, for this reason, our suggestion for the future research is to apply these collaborative and gamified strategies to larger and the different groups, and for a longer period of time, to check if the motivation remains over time and is not just due to the novelty. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening to this brief explanation of the research project.